really difficult finding places these days to do live streams. All right, so I'm going to get into a lot in this. I've been quite busy lately. I haven't made as much time to do live streams and YouTube videos. There's been a lot going on at the moment. Been doing quite a bit of mentoring with long-term clients, events. I've been training a lot, as a lot of you know. I've also been doing my own therapy, going to other meetups, spending time with family. Actually, a lot of good stuff, catching up with, having a lot of meaningful conversations with friends. So that can never be a negative thing. Right, so I wanted to talk today about how to face your fears. This is for anyone, but especially people that have got anxiety and OCD. You know, I suffer with anxiety and OCD. Pretty much had it all my life. Actually, maybe I'll get into that in another video. But I would like to explain the difference. Sorry when that music stops. It's the only thing about doing live streams outside, a lot of the sound. Right, so I like to break this distinction down very quickly, right? Now, just to put things into perspective, people that suffer with anxiety, like myself and like my clients, and I think everyone on this community, and probably a lot of people, I can't know for sure, but a lot of people have got OCD. I've recently, haven't had a full diagnosis, but I realised that I've got OCD. So people with anxiety, OCD, or any anxiety disorder, social anxiety, all in those kind of categories, agoraphobia. So you've got this category of people, and obviously you've got people that are quite fortunate. They don't have OCD, they don't have a major anxiety disorder, but they still have anxiety. You know, anxiety is normal. They still have anxiety, but they don't have anxiety to a degree where it could be debilitating, where it's affecting them living their life, or you know, or they've got to take medication or therapy, or it's a lot more harder. So I just want to explain that, because I used to get confused when I would teach, or when I was younger. I used to think, oh, I've got anxiety, I've got a problem, everyone else is normal. And I realized that isn't true. You know, I've mentored over the years lots of people that didn't quote unquote have, you know, a diagnosis, a registered anxiety disorder, but they still had a lot of fears and anxieties. So my point of view is, you know, whether you've got anxiety or not, or OCD or not, or social anxiety or agoraphobia, or whatever the case, it really does come down to, can you face your fears? Like, if you want to change your life, if you want to live the best life possible. And I don't mean that in a nasty way, in a negative way, but I'm really trying to get down to a truth in this area, because I always struggle to explain this. This is fun. Get your questions in as well if you try and answer them. Because look, when I was growing up, I would struggle a lot, and I'd feel judged and embarrassed and think, well, I've got this anxiety problem, and a lot of other people, they don't have it. They don't know what it's like, right? And they're not understanding how difficult life is. And because I suffered so much with anxiety for so many years, as you know, when you've got anxiety, you're frightened of pretty much everything. Like, you worry about what people think, you're scared about bad things happening, you're frightened of making mistakes, you don't want to hurt people's feelings. You know, it goes into a whole, you know, list of things. You're scared of public speaking, you know, you become scared of everything, traveling. You're scared of all these things. I had all these fears, I was afraid of all these things. So, you know, someone who doesn't have that level of anxiety, usually, you know, of course they've got all the normal human fears, but they're not really, it doesn't really drive them to a point where they want to make changes. So for me, it got to a point where the anxiety actually started to really help me, because I would face fears that most people wouldn't face, because they just wouldn't be drove to the point of facing it. Example, and again, this is not being big-headed, I want to try and help people. So, you know, I got bullied a lot around many people got bullied around my area, and it was really frightening when I was like, in my teens. And because I got bullied so bad and I had such bad anxiety, panic attacks and worrying, I found the courage to stand up to the bully and fight the bully, on my estate. And that was something that most people didn't have the courage to do. And, again, it come from the anxiety disorder that I had. It just drove me mad in the end. I just couldn't live anymore. I thought I'd rather just stand up to the bully. And in doing that, it gave me a lot of confidence, you could say, and it made me realize that I've got a lot of strength, and so have you. Just because I have an anxiety disorder doesn't mean I can't do things in life, and I can't make something of my life and be a better person, which I realized later on that I couldn't, and I did. So I basically changed my life several times and achieved a lot of goals with an anxiety disorder. And a lot of people who didn't have anxiety were not able to do the things that I did, because I guess they didn't suffer enough. They didn't have that level of pain and suffering and stress and worry to the point where, as I said, it drove me to move forward. And it's really hard to explain this. I'm trying to explain it. So what I'm trying to say is, I guess, just because you've got an anxiety disorder, OCD or depression or social anxiety, doesn't mean you can't go out and build a lot of confidence, face your fears and change your life. You can do it. I've done it. And I've helped many people to do it. And there's so many people around the world that have done it. But I think there's a popular belief in society. People think that if someone's got anxiety or they've got a mental health problem, they can't be successful in business. There still is that sort of uneducated belief system, which isn't true. Or if someone's got social anxiety or shyness, they can't be really good at public speaking. That's not true. I prove that to be untrue, because I had social anxiety for so many years, but I was able to get up on stage and do public talks and go and mentor people from all around the world. And I've helped other people to do that. So I think that needs to be explained, and I really wanted to explain that today to give people confidence, not just to give you hope, because hope is important, but to really give you the truth in this area, that you can go out and face your fears. And that's actually what it entails. That's what you need to do. Despite having an anxiety disorder, you need to face your fears, whatever those fears are. It's usually around people, speaking, traveling, business, exercising. It's all where all the fears show up. And that's what really helps you to change your life, regardless of having an anxiety disorder. So I really want to continue to explain that and maybe get on more podcast shows, because a lot of people just believe things because it's like, everyone thinks that, everyone believes it. It's not true. And if you get experience, you prove that to be untrue. And that's a good thing, because as I said, when I was struggling years ago, I used to think that, I can't really go out and build confidence because I've got this anxiety problem, I've got this mental health problem, I've got OCD, or I get a lot of intrusive thoughts, I've got depression, I get suicidal thoughts, I get loneliness. So I basically need to fix this and then figure out how to fit. And that wasn't the case. It was actually the opposite. It was like, this is what's holding me back, and I've got to take action now and continue every single day living my life and face the daily fears. And I've studied a lot, I've followed people over the years, and I learn a lot from other people. I like to see good people do well. And all the people that I've found that have had like all these sorts of mental health problems and anxiety, most of them have gone on to be successful. And, a lot of people don't know or didn't know that they had like agoraphobia or OCD or social anxiety or bipolar disorder. People didn't know until they shared their story. Well, obviously the people close to them. And it doesn't surprise me, because we go through a lot of pain when we suffer with OCD or any sort of mental health problem, but we're also very strong. And as I said, I'm not having a go at people, it's not competition, but people that don't have an anxiety disorder or a mental health problem, they don't really have to be strong in a certain way because they're not suffering. And when you suffer a lot, it forces you get stronger. Obviously you get weaker as well in many ways, but you get a toughness, you get a resilience. And that resilience That toughness gives you confidence and courage and discipline and strength to go and do things that a lot of normal people wouldn't be able to do, because because their pride, because their fear of rejection, because their fear of the unknown. And things like boxing, I've met lots of people over the years and just got into conversations and they're like, oh, I couldn't do boxing. And I'm like, well, you could if you really, I couldn't do that, I'd be too afraid. Or oh, I couldn't start a business on YouTube, or I couldn't do a live stream because I'd be too worried about what my friends and family and other people would think. I'm like, well, that's the difference. Like, you could do it, but I can do it, and my clients can. Anyone can. You're right, Timothy. Welcome to the channel. Let's get to your question. Living in the UK may be that way, and then I moved to the USA as an electrical engineer, and I found myself, oh, well done, man. I love hearing stories like that. I wasn't judged by people because I never went to Oxford or Cambridge, and I'm well pleased that you did that. See, do you have an anxiety disorder at all? Yeah, it's an explanation that I still well, I'm getting better at explaining. I struggle a bit to explain it. I think it's because it means a lot to me and a lot of people. Okay, what anxiety disorder do you have? Well done. And it sounds contradictory, doesn't it? Because if like the general consensus, the way that most people think, if you said to most people, I have an anxiety disorder and it makes me very, very fearful of many things in life, right? People, if they're not sort of aware and they're not educated, people would immediately assume, oh, that person doesn't have confidence, that person is disabled mentally, or that person, can't go and do things. But what they don't realize is that person can if they want to, because I'm living proof. I've been doing it for years, and I don't say that to show off. I say it because I want to help more people and educate them and educate more of the public, so the public can have a bit more compassion and understanding, and not just write someone off because of a label, because they've got some sort of anxiety problem. Generalized anxiety disorder, right. Oh, well, good for you, man. Well done for having the courage. So for me, although there's things about my anxiety that I've still struggled with today and don't like, it gave me a lot of strength, helped me to change my life, basically. I wouldn't be able to do public speaking now if it wasn't for having OCD and an anxiety disorder growing up. I mean, I may have been out, but it's unlikely, because it drove me to challenge myself. It drove me to want to be a better person, and I wouldn't be able to help people either. Not in the way that I've been able to do it and continue. I don't think I would have had the. I don't think I would have the compassion. I would have had the compassion. I'm a very compassionate person. I've got a lot of empathy anyway, but maybe not as much as a sufferer. I know what it's like, but also I know the results that people can get if they push themselves and face the fears and get help, get support, exercise, start to take action on their fears. I know what they can do because of what I've been able to do and what I've been able to help a lot of people, and seeing what others have done, the people that I don't know, that don't know me, other people around the world. If you go online, I'm sure you have, you get to meet all these amazing people and hear their stories, and I love it. I never get bored of it. I've spent thousands of hours listening to success stories of people that have had anxiety disorders, OCD, mental health, and they've been able to turn their life around. They may still have the disorder, but they've learned to live a great life despite it, or some people have made a full recovery. Either way, it's I love hearing those stories. I'm trying to open up more. I'm doing it from today and share my struggles so people can understand that they can do it, that they're not alone, and that it's not easy for me. You might see me talking and teaching and exercising online and running and doing all these things that take a lot of strength, but it's not easy. It's something that I practice every day. with the anxiety, right? Panic attack. So it's a bit loud here. Let's let the traffic go and I'll continue. So it's a lovely spot here. It's just a lot of traffic. I'm in London, Timothy. In West London, right? So basically, it's getting really loud here. I hope you can hear me. So yeah, if you face your fears consistently every day, you're going to gain a lot of confidence, regardless of an anxiety disorder. You get to a point where you just end up building up a lot of confidence, and that's a lot better than someone not having confidence, not having courage, not being able to do things in life, which isn't fair on people, and then being stuck with a mental health problem or an anxiety problem. Seattle, yeah, it sounds nice. I've never been. I know it obviously from the States, hearing the name. So if you face your fears daily, and that's where the daily routine comes in, you get stronger and stronger, and eventually, your anxiety condition actually works in your favor. It actually gives you strength. It's weird like that. It can be like a kryptonite, where it can totally debilitate you, and it can ruin your life if you let it, or it can actually almost become a best friend, where if you channel it and you use your anxiety and your mental health challenges and your pain, and you put that into facing your fears, you just get so much fuel. And that's where you see people who have a lot of energy. I've always had a lot of energy. So you can build a successful business from the energy of your mental health problem or your anxiety disorder, and gain a lot of confidence. And truth be known, again, it's not a competition, that you end up getting more confident than people that don't have an anxiety disorder, because they're not putting the work in, because they don't have a motivation to go to that length. And I saw a story the other day of a guy that I loved, who suffers with OCD and intrusive thoughts, and he was suicidal, and he started running. He took up running, and now he does amazing things. He's ran like all these different competitions. He does public speaking, and he helps people. He raises awareness on OCD, mental health. Him and his girlfriend, he goes around all around the world doing it. Built businesses and it's helped me as well. So that's the power of what I'm talking about today. But the guy that I was listening to online the other week, if he didn't have an anxiety problem with OCD, he wouldn't have been motivated to go out and achieve those things. So I should have titled this live stream really, how to achieve success, or how to achieve your goals for people that have got an anxiety disorder. Maybe for the next video. So it's all about facing your fears. That's how you do it. You start out and you set a goal, and you build up like any relationship, and you get more discipline over time with practice. And also getting help from mentors is really good. Finding a community, getting as much support as you can, among also supporting yourself. So if you face your fears every day, your life's going to change. And as I said, this is the problem that everyone's got fears anyway, but especially people with anxiety disorders, I reckon they've got more heightened level of fear. So it's a bit more challenging at the start until they get used to it. And that was my story. I used to notice that. Now I know that everyone has fear, because I've been mentoring for 12 years, I've got more experience. But when I was younger, I used to think that, I'm just a scared person, everyone else is relaxed, they don't have fears. But what I realized was my fears were a little bit stronger than the average person growing up, because a lot of people, many people did, but many people that I was around didn't have like quote unquote anxiety problem like me, OCD. So my triggers were a lot more sensitive. But once I started to face my fears, and again, it's not a competition, I was able to go further than most people were able to go in terms of, doing more things in life, experiencing more, helping more people, challenging myself more, because they were not motivated to take that risk. Because if you're comfortable and you're feeling relaxed and safe, then you're going to be less inclined to want to go out and do things like public speaking, which is one of the biggest human fears. It's top on the list until you get good at it. And I love public speaking. Obviously I get fearful to do it, but I've got experience. I've been doing it for 12 years now. So if it wasn't for the anxiety disorder, I would not have been motivated to go and do public speaking. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have took the risk of being judged, making mistakes, getting embarrassed, failing, succeeding. I would never have been motivated to do it. Yeah, for sure. That's why I say to people and clients, if you want to build confidence, do public speaking. It's the best confidence builder in the world. It's one of the best. I would say it's the top, equaled with boxing, or sparring, or having a boxing match. But you can't beat public speaking in person. I'm not just talking about on a YouTube video. That's not as difficult. For some people it is, but generally, speaking in person in front of a group of people, you can't beat that for self-confidence. And if you do that consistently, you're going to become really, really confident, regardless of what anxiety disorder you got. It doesn't matter, because what matters is the discipline that you exercise. If you're facing your fears all the time, you're going to get stronger mentally, spiritually and emotionally, and as a result you're going to have more confidence, more discipline. You're still going to have an anxiety disorder. I mean, you can overcome it, that's possible too, but the point is you're going to be in a better position. Oh, that's great. You box as middleweight, yeah? That's brilliant. So when I mentor clients, whether they've got anxiety disorders or not, I help them and I mentor them and help them to face their fears in their life, whatever those fears are. They're usually around, building relationships, starting a business, public speaking, travel, and all the normal human fears that we have, and some of the ones that we tend to avoid. No, I'm not your teacher for middle school, I'm sorry to say, but I am your teacher for today. Have a good sleep, Timothy. Yeah, you're on a different time scale, right? 5 hours ahead or behind the States. Have a good sleep, thank you.
They sorted them by the ones that were open.
I'd like to explain a little bit more about, what does that look like, facing your fears? Personally, for me, that's every single day. Now, I know a lot of people, they don't want to hear that, because it's like, well, that's a big ask, that's scary. Well, that's what it takes. Technically, we've all got to face our fears every day, the little fears, like getting out of bed early. These are sometimes the fears that predominantly people don't really identify as fears, but I like to identify fear in all areas of life, so you can build a better relationship with it and make it a friend and move forward and enjoy your life and be more present. So getting up in the morning and not snoozing. I had to do it again this morning. Every morning I've got to do it. I wake up in the morning, I'm scared, I've got to do the day again, get out of bed, take a shower, practice gratitude, and then you overcome that fear again. Here now, having a good time now. If I didn't face my fear in the morning and get out of bed, and then didn't face my fear of putting on this live stream and mentoring and helping people, I wouldn't be here now. Whereas someone who is living in fear, whether they've got an anxiety disorder or not, they're going to pass it up. They're going to put it off. And that's how you don't gain confidence. That's how you don't change your life, by not facing the fear, by putting off and saying, I'm not ready now, or I don't want to do it now, or it's not going to feel nice, or these negative thoughts in my head are making me feel bad, I'm going to leave it. Facing fear is discipline. It is the discipline to face it, regardless of how you feel. So people always say, how can I build discipline? By facing your fears. How can I gain more confidence? By facing your fears. How can I be a better person in life? By facing your fears. Most of the answers come back to facing fear. How can I make positive changes in my life? By facing your fears. You cannot escape fear in regards to all these questions and all these things that people want to build. How do I lose weight? How do I improve my diet? By confronting your fears. Of course, we have different fears in different areas, but fear itself is the same. Fear just spreads into different areas of life according to where people are sensitive, where they have doubt, where they're afraid of rejection, where there's uncertainty. Hi there, man, how you doing? And facing fear, for the most part, is experiential, it's practical, it's behavioral. So it's not reading books. Most people make the mistake of reading books to overcome fear, and it doesn't work because the book doesn't give you fight or flight. The book doesn't teach you how to build discipline. So a book cannot give you what running a marathon will. Reading a book will not give you what doing public speaking will. And what public speaking will give you is real confidence, is discipline, is also control over your fight or flight, stronger, more control over your own brain, your own mind, your own physiology, your own biology. And books don't teach you that. It is intellectual when you read a book, but it's not. You need experiential experience from running, public speaking, exercising, doing things that are practical, that are experiential,